I have been playing Dead by Daylight since the summer of 2016 when it first came out. Since then, I've racked up just over 1,000 hours on the game, which according to some people means that I'm not even an intermediate level player. Just kidding, I love my boy Ots. The reason why I have just barely over 1,000 hours after 8 years of this game being out is because I've really been an on and off player. I've had stages where I play this game a lot, stages where I don't play so much, taking a lot of breaks. I've even taken a few breaks that are like a year long. But at sometimes I would say that this game would be the one that I was playing the most out of anything. It would be kind of my main game. I would even say my favorite game at some point in time. And recently when I have played, I'm really not enjoying it. And at this point, I don't really want to play anymore. I'm just about ready to quit Dead by Daylight. And I just wanted to talk about some of the reasons, the personal reasons that I have for deciding to quit Dead by Daylight. I have seen a lot of content creators make videos about why they're quitting Dead by Daylight. I think there's been a bit of an influx lately of people who decided to stop playing, who are more like full-time content creators on this game. But I think I have a little bit of a different perspective as more of like an average player and someone who doesn't play as much. Maybe, you know, they might be more burned out than someone like me who's only played 1,000 hours in 8 years, right? While they have thousands and thousands of hours, and they're playing 1,000 hours, you know, within 1 year. So I just wanted to give my perspective and some of the reasons that I have. I do want to say, just before I get into this is all personal. This is all my opinions. So nothing I'm saying is fact. And to a lot of the things that I might say, your response might be skill issue, to which I would say fair. But I don't really care. It's still an issue for me, and I'm sure it's an issue for a lot of other people who play at the same amount that I do, at the same skill level that I do. Honestly, the first and the main reason I have for quitting Dead by Daylight is just I don't know how to have fun on this game anymore. I know everybody's definition of fun and their idea of how to have fun in a game is different. For me, I'm one of those people who I do like to win. You know, majority of the time, that's how I have fun, is trying to win, trying to do well in a game. But I don't need to do well all the time, especially on a game like Dead by Daylight. I feel like, you know, you kind of have to come to terms with the fact that you're not going to win every game. Well, whether you're playing as a survivor, you know, you're not going to escape every game, but maybe some people on your team might escape. And when you're playing as killer, you're not going to get a 4K every game. But me personally, I like to do as well as I possibly can and try my best to win. But of course, I want to have a good time doing it. I do want to enjoy the gameplay. I don't just want to win and be miserable. And then also, of course, you know, I like to have fun sometimes, switch up my builds, maybe do something that's a little bit more like a meme build. You know, I like to do that too. So I'm not just hardcore sweating all the time. But the last couple years playing this game, something has changed. I don't know if it was the MMR changes that they did back a few years ago, but it's like every game is just stomp or be stomped. Now, I do want to say that in my 1,000 hours, I would say 75% of it was spent on Survivor and about 25 on Killer. So I am mostly Survivor main, and I will be speaking mostly from the point of view as a Survivor player. I mean, I remember having games where it would be even throughout. You know, there'd be gens going, the killer would be getting hooks, but now it's like the killer straight up 4Ks with 5 gens left, or the survivors don't even get hooked at all and just run the killer the entire game. And most of the builds that you see out there from the other side, regardless of what side you're on, they're always just using the best available perks, the best loadouts possible, best items, everything. And for me, those type of games just are not where the fun occurs. Even though I'd like to win, looping the killer for the entire game and he doesn't even, there's no challenge there, you know what I mean? If he doesn't even get hooks, he doesn't get downs, or, you know, you just bully him the whole time, that's really not fun. I know for some people they enjoy that, but not for me, if it's over and over and over. And then same thing, even, you know, if you are the killer, just stomping on survivors, it may be fun for a couple games, but it's really, you know, when there's no challenge, just like anything, it's not that fun. And for a survivor team, if no one on the team can even run the killer, he just feels way overmatched to your whole team. I mean, that's not fun either. And that's the majority of the games now. I feel like I don't know what happened. Honestly, as a survivor, I just feel like the only way to have fun is to load up with 3 other friends, full survive with friends. You know, you're talking the whole time and just hoping something funny will happen, and, you know, trying to have fun with your friends. That I feel like is where I've had the most fun in this game. But even then, like, that's hard to find in those games where it's just so one-sided. I'm not saying that I never get those games anymore where it's a little bit more evenly matched. I just feel like it's so much more rare, and usually it's just one side dominating the other. And if this is all because of like this skill-based matchmaking, I just don't understand why we can't see our MMR. Like, if you're gonna have MMR, and this is an issue for any game that uses skill-based matchmaking, it's been said 1,000 times, but if you're gonna use this hidden MMR and stuff, just what's the point? Just show us at least, so I can see my progress, so I can see, you know, if the person that just stomped me was really that much better than me, or maybe they're supposed to be the same rank as me and I just did terrible that game. Like, let me see the MMR, let me see how I'm losing it, how I'm gaining it. And I don't know why developers don't show this stuff. Maybe it's because their systems aren't measuring MMR and skill in a great way, and they don't want us to see that. I really don't know. There's theories out there, but If that's the reason, man, why then is there a ranked mode yet? 8 years in and there's no ranked mode? I mean, I know that the original idea of the game was not for it to be ranked, it was to be like a party game. But clearly there's so many people who take the game so seriously and sweat so hard. Like, let's just do a ranked mode. Let's give them a mode where they can do that, and then people can go into the casual play and actually have fun, use different builds, different perks, stuff that they never used, experiment. Because I just feel like now you can't do that. And they have started experimenting with new modes lately, so we all know that they can add new modes. I mean, there's the lights out modifier game mode that they add in. That is trash. I mean, no one wants to play with the lights out. Maybe a small amount of people, but less visibility. That is not fun, man. And then you have the 2v8, which people have been asking for so long, and they added in after 8 years for a couple weeks. I barely play the game. Like I said, I'm on and off. I take breaks. I barely even got a chance to look at the 2v8. People like me who have played since the beginning, that is something we've wanted for so long. And then they added in just for a couple weeks. I mean, surely they can add in like permanent game modes to switch up the gameplay. So if there's anything they can do to make the game more interesting, let's do it. 2v8, that's more interesting than the normal 1v4 that we're used to sitting on a generator for most of the game. Like, there's a lot more going on, a lot more happening, and then they take it out just to say, yeah, maybe we'll bring it back in the future. I don't understand. You know, once upon a time when I was playing this game a lot, I was above average. I was a little bit better than I am now when I have barely played, you know, in the last year. I wouldn't say I was the best of the best, but back before, you know, the MMR and everything, when matchmaking was based on your rank and how good you were was based on your rank. You know, I was in red ranks all the time. I was rank 1 on everything. So I'm saying I was above average for sure. But now I feel like I'm not at that level anymore with the breaks that I've taken. But somehow it's almost like my hidden MMR has stayed at that level, because most of the people who I go against, if they're on Steam like I am, I could check their Steam profile, see how many hours they've played. And it's not everyone, because a lot of people have that hidden, but I could see, you know, they have thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. Like, think about that. I only have 1,000 hours. So if someone just has 2,000, that's already double my time. And there's people with literally 3,000, 4,000 that I go against. And I just don't understand, like, is my skill base still stuck from when I was actually pretty good at this game and it hasn't gone down that much? And is my baseline really that high? And I even see it when I play killer too, because I know with killers you have a different skill rating on each killer, but you know, you have that baseline that they determine, so you're not going to just get people who are completely new to the game when you switch to a killer that you've never played before. But even then, if I switch to a killer that I really don't play, the games might be a little bit easier, but after a couple of them, I mean, I'm back into, I could tell, like the top of the skill brackets, and it's just so hard because I'm still really trying to learn that killer. I just don't play them that often. I'm not that great with them, but maybe I'm just, you know, overall my baseline at the game is solid. And another issue for me as someone who doesn't play that often is just all of the changes and the additions to the game. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, because more content is usually a good thing, but just if you don't play that often, trying to keep up with the perks, the changes to the maps, everything, like, it's just so much. I mean, there are a ridiculous amount of perks now, and I don't know if there's a solution to that, because they just keep adding and adding and adding. But like, as a player who does not play that often, you could try to keep up, but I mean, there's gonna be things going on in the game and you're not gonna know how. A killer is gonna do something, a survivor is going to do something, you're going to say, how the hell did they just do that? I didn't know that was possible. And it's just because of some perk that you didn't really know existed, or you just didn't really understand what the perk does. And I actually have replayed the tutorial like semi recently, within like the last couple of years, just to see what it was like. And the tutorial is actually really good for new players and everything, but I don't even think they get into like perks and add-ons and stuff. And like I said, that stuff is so game altering that not explaining that to people in any way is just crazy to me. To not know what's going on in the game is the most frustrating thing, I think. And when there's all these perks, all these new things that you just don't know about, that's what's most frustrating. And maybe there is a better way in game for them to kind of explain to the player like what's actually happening, what's going on, why it happened. It's because of this perk. I know there's some perks that, you know, have icons that pop up, but I don't know. It's so hard for someone who doesn't play often to keep up with that stuff. And they just keep on adding more and more. Like, it gets to a point where you kind of feel like the game is just bloated. Like, for me, again, someone who plays not that often, the idea that I have to unlock all of these new perks and characters and the grind to get those, like, it's just so daunting that you don't even want to do it. You don't even want to play, because you know you're probably not going to get there. And it just continues and continues, more killers and more, and you know, they've gotten like almost every popular horror license they could at this point. Like, it's at the point where those licenses aren't even exciting anymore, because you kind of just expect them DVD to get them. Like, honestly, it's more exciting when they go a little bit more outside the box and get something that you didn't expect. Like when Nicolas Cage came into the game, like no one was expecting Nicolas Cage to come into Dead by Daylight. He's not known, as a big time horror movie guy. That's another one of those things where I don't know how they fix. I mean, they're going to obviously keep adding content into their game, but it gets overwhelming. I can't even imagine for a new player, trying to unlock all the perks and characters. I mean, that must look like such a grind. I don't even know how you deal with that. I don't even know how you want to start playing this game at that point. I think another thing that closely relates to having fun is just the people that you find in this game. I mean, most video games are going to have a toxic community and everything, but this game is different, bro. I swear people play this game just to make other people miserable. And yeah, you could say that about any PvP game, any game where you're playing against other people. Yeah, there's people out there that are trying to make someone else lose, trying to make someone else, but people play this game to make you miserable. The trolling, the name calling, like the stuff on this game is crazy. I don't know why people take this game so seriously. At least on something like Call of Duty, bro, the worst someone could do to me is like kill me and teabag me, and then I can get them right back, right? In this game, bro, if a killer could just slug you, basement camp you, do all this stuff, face camp, it's like, it's so bad. People go out of their way to find any way that they can literally make someone else miserable using any mechanics of this game possible. And it happens from the other side, it happens from your side. If you're playing Survivor, people rage quitting, people killing themselves on hook, people trolling. Like, it's crazy how common it is in this game. It's crazy. And I don't want to get too much into the gameplay too. I mean, honestly, I find the gameplay boring at this point. Again, I'm mostly playing Survivor, so for most of my games, I'm holding one button on a generator the whole time. That whole idea to me has always been boring. Obviously, the chase is the part of the game that people look forward to the most. But with the games that I've been getting, you get into a chase and it's either over very fast because you got destroyed, or you can loop someone for a long time, and that's fun, yeah, but doing that over and over to bad killers is not really that fun. And it's really funny too, because I did a video almost 4 years ago, back in 2020, about the meta at the time, which was Ruin and Undying for killers, and just like how it exposed the core problem of the game. And it's funny because my suggestion at the time was to switch up the gameplay a little bit from just the generators, because it was so one tone and boring. And my suggestion was to add in like another objective for survivors. So I think what I said was survivors have to go and find pieces to put into the generator, or maybe there's other little mini games that they have to do, to progress towards leaving, rather than just hold the button on a generator. And it's crazy because it's almost like they heard me, but they did it in the opposite way. So instead of adding on like more objectives for the survivors to do to progress, it was just they added in more side effects or side quests from the killers that you would have to do in order to not regress in the game, if that makes sense. So basically, since I made that video in late 2020, almost every killer that came out starting like in 2021 had some sort of secondary objective or some secondary piece to their power where you would have to go run around and do something extra. Like, killers' powers used to be so simple to understand, obviously, like Huntress throws hatchets, like Wraith goes invisible, Trapper sets traps, and then it just got more convoluted and complicated over time. Like, think about starting with the Nemesis, you have, the first aid spray when you're infected, you have the zombies, Cenobite, you have the box that you have to take care of. With Sadako, you got the tapes. Skull Merchant, don't even get me started on Skull Merchant. That's still the worst killer they've ever introduced into the game. With the Alien, you got the turrets that you have to set up. And then the two most recent, with Vecna the Lich, the fact that they gave this man literally like 4 different powers. Same thing with the new vampire that came out, the Castlevania killer. He has like 3 different forms. It's like, I don't want to keep track of all this stuff. And it's like everything is an obstacle rather than like helping you progress, right? Like everything that those killers do sets you back instead. And that's what it feels like. It feels like you're just getting rid of all these annoyances. For me, I don't know why. It just feels so frustrating that way. It doesn't feel like I'm working towards anything. It just feels like I'm constantly being set back. What I thought would have made the game more interesting was for survivors to have a little bit more progression, a little bit more objectives that they complete, rather than things that can just like slow them down from completing their objectives. Because that's what it feels like with all those killers. It's just that you're constantly getting slowed down. There's just extra stuff you have to do that doesn't help you. It just stops the hurting. Then you got the issues like the bugs, the glitches, the exploits. I don't want to get into that too much because, like I said, playing on and off, you don't really experience the big ones. But I know especially lately, there's been a lot of bugs and glitches that have remained in the game. I can think about when I was playing when Vecna came out, and that map that they came out with Vecna was terrible. I have no idea how it made it to live servers. It had like a glitched palette, glitched windows, but just the amount of stuff that I see that makes it to live servers that should not is insane with this game. I know other people have had issues with a lot of bugs and stuff. Players have been asking for them to like skip a chapter and do a chapter on just like game game health for so long, but they're never going to do that. They've said that the same devs who work on that kind of stuff with the game health don't work on the new content. So then there would just be nothing for the devs who work on the new content to do if they did a chapter where it was just, fixing the game. But the game is so broken in so many ways. Again, I don't experience a lot of that because I'm not playing that often, but the people who play often know that something is always breaking in this game, and it's ridiculous after 8 years, like how much stuff still goes wrong in this game. I think I've covered most of my grievances with the game, and like I said, just all that adds up to the point where when I launch this game, I'm not having fun. And I know that, like I said, some people have fun in different ways, but for me, this game is just not fun anymore. There's other games that are providing me a lot more fun than this one. So I think I'm gonna stick to those for now. If anyone sees this video, you did watch it all the way, let me know in the comments if you agree with me or if I'm stupid and I'm wrong on everything. Like I said, it's my opinion, so it could definitely be a lot different experience for someone else. But this is just from someone who used to play this game a lot, doesn't play so much anymore, but knows what's going on and tries to play occasionally and gets frustrated doing it. So for now, I'm saying goodbye to Dead by Daylight, and I hope all you out there who are still playing it, I hope you're having fun. But if you stop having fun like me someday, just stop playing, because there's other games out there that you can have fun on, and I promise you, it's not worth it to play this one and be miserable.